Hi there, I'm Dan Martell, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to define your perfect customer for a B2B SaaS business, where you can get clear on who you're targeting and ensure that they're excited to buy your product. And be sure to stay to the end. We're going to share with you my Rocket Demo Builder. It's a strategy you can use in your product demos to get customers to buy fast without giving you the cold shoulder. Choosing your perfect customer is probably the number one biggest decision you have to make as a founder. And one of the things that I get to do with my new SaaS Academy clients is sit down. The first thing we do is sit down and get clear on who they're serving as a customer base, ideally focusing on 3 primary buckets. But then here's the kicker, and it always gives them angst, is I ask them to choose the one customer that we're going to focus on over the next 12 months that they feel if they made that investment, it would allow them to hit their next level of growth. And some of my clients, I'm going to teach you how we break down the criteria of what makes an incredible customer. But one of my clients grew $2.5 million in ARR in a 6-month period by not trying to serve too many customers, but by focusing on the one that they knew could actually drive revenue and still have the halo effect of other companies using their product. But in regards to driving marketing, sales, and content creation, we need to pick the one. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys these 6 criterias that I use and you should use in defining a great customer avatar. Number 1, firmographics. This is deciding what industry you actually want to serve. Now, some of you guys are saying, well, a vertical or an industry is not big enough for me to succeed. Just take one step back. Think about how hard it is for me to sell to a law office and to a fitness studio. Both of those have different ways that they talk about their customers. One might call them athletes or dancers. The other one's going to call them clients. They have different structure for compensation, how they make decisions. Obviously, law firms have partners. A gym owner might just be a solopreneur. They're totally different, yet I see constantly every day companies trying to serve both markets. So if you want to dial this in, figure out from a revenue point of view, what's the revenue band that you want to serve within that vertical? My favorite question to ask is, what % growth would you assume those companies are growing every year that you would want as a customer? Because do you want a company that's failing, that's struggling, that's been declining over the last 5 years, or do you want one that's been growing 20, 30, 40% year over year? Those are the number one. It's the firmographics. You got to get clear on that. Number 2 is the demographics. If you think about it, you want to concentrate your focus on a region. This is called the trading zone. When you're going to market, if you're selling e-commerce software to the luxury brand market, you could probably crush it with 2 cities, New York and LA. Yet many times when I ask companies where do your customers buy from, they'll go Canada, US, Australia, and the UK. And I always challenge them, if you could pick one over the next 12 months, one country, which would it be? US. Perfect. It's gonna hurt, but if we went even further, we pick cities. Which top cities would those be? If I gave you 5, they know exactly, they name them off. Could you hit your goals in the next 12 months focusing on those 5? Look, you'll still have the halo effect. You'll still be able to serve people outside of that. I'm not saying, geo-fence your website. I'm just saying let's focus. Content, paid advertising, marketing, partners, customers in those cities. Could we do that? Because think about it. When you're serving 2 or 3 of the similar companies in the same city that maybe that founder knows about, and those people are case studies on your website, the ability for you to close that customer against your competitor is like 3 or 4x. And that's the power of focusing on the right demographic. Number 3, technographics. This is probably the most interesting and fun and advanced targeting that you can really add to your customer avatar. So one question I love to ask my customers is, what are other tools or services that your best customers buy? What are things that your top customers probably also use in regards to products, tool sets, etc.? If they bought your product, is there anything else that they would likely buy right after they buy you? In answering that question, you get very clear on the tool set that those companies use. And the reason why that's so powerful is, from a qualifying point of view, is you can actually find out and target those companies. So there's two ways to do this. One is to actually look at the tool sets that are being used on the public marketing website. So you can get understanding of their analytics tools, of their recruiting tools. You can get a lot of data just by looking at how they build and the tools that they've plugged into their public marketing sites. And there's a bunch of companies online that'll help you do that. The second is there's actually ways that you can look at the job postings for those companies and see what kind of technology that they require in different roles within the organization for experience levels from the new hires. So you can defer by, well, if they're looking to hire a VP of marketing, and in there they say, well, you have to have experience with Salesforce and HubSpot and Google AdWords. Like, you can start to defer the types of technologies that they're using, or decipher, that they're using, so that you can get clear on, hey, these are my perfect customers, and these are the links to the different websites. And again, there's data providers that'll give you that information to make that super clear. So Technographics, to me, is a very new thing that's kind of come online with the power of the internet that a lot of founders are not using in their SaaS businesses. Number 4, Psychographics. So it sounds kind of crazy because it's got the word psycho in it, but just think about it this way, is there's probably a certain attitude, if you think of your best customers, there's an attitude that they have in regards to the way they communicate, the way they ask for information, the way they talk to your team. It's crazy how I can tell when I get on a call with a founder, just based on the flow of the conversation, if there's somebody that I would love to coach. And I can know that within the first 3 minutes. That's a byproduct of the psychographic makeup of that person or that organization. So just think about it this way. You have values in life that you live by. You may not know that, but you do. They drive you. Your customers have similar values. When you work or accept a new customer in your business, especially if you're more of a mid-market sale and you've got a customer success team that's got to work with these clients, you will frustrate your team if you bring on the wrong customer. So one of the things that I highly recommend is getting clear on what types of psychographics or values the companies, the best customers that you love to serve would have. Just think about it this way. Early adopters have a certain approach to life. If you try to sell technology to a laggard, you are going to be fighting an uphill battle. It'll be like swimming upstream. Yet, if you could filter out, based on some questions of their approach to innovation and technology, then you can know right from the beginning, your SDRs, your sales development reps, the way they qualify the customer, that your salespeople would never talk to somebody who isn't an early adopter. Because if you have innovation that's truly like AI for the restaurant industry, you can't be talking to the late adopters or the laggards, because they'll just frustrate your sales team, even if you're successful at getting them into your sales pipeline. So to me, Psychographics is a huge opportunity for you to just align on values between the way your company wants to operate or who they can serve and the customer's default values. Number 5, roles. If you sell mid-market to enterprise, there's a very good chance you have multiple people in your organization you sell to, or the CEO or the founder or the owner is not the buyer. So I call this a multi-threaded account, where you have to go in and identify your champion and figure out who the purchasing decision or who's got the budget approval, and really define those roles. So when you're sitting down, you're creating that customer avatar. If you serve those types of markets, you might have 2 or 3 folks that you would need to build relationships with from a sales point of view to actually get a deal closed. So be sure you sit down, you get clear on the roles, the titles, maybe use some LinkedIn to do the triangulation and research, and also understand what kind of background or things that drive them in their career, the fears and frustrations of their roles in the business, and make sure you speak to those individually when you're having that sales conversation, but it needs to be clear when you're defining your customer avatar. Number 6, give them a name. So many great companies like HubSpot and Slack and Dropbox and many, they're very deliberate and clear on what their customers are called in for different segments. So Marketing Mary is one you probably have heard for HubSpot. Jeff Bezos from Amazon is famous for creating a chair that's open in a meeting room to represent the customer that they're serving, right? So just like this symbol of the customer's voice in all meetings. The reason I do this with all my coaching clients is we give them a name so that all the strategies, when we talk about marketing and sales and customer success, we always can refer back to how does this buyer, and I've had names so funny, everything from Edward to Ollie to Eddie to Vanessa to Claire, you name it, my customers have called it. For me, it's software scaling Sam. You, behind the camera right now, if you have a software business that's doing 10K plus per month, you're software scaling Sam. And the reason why is that way the whole team can talk about it. for me, it's like, oh, is this video going to serve Sam? It's like, yes, these are the types of challenges that he's running into, the questions he's asking. So let's do some content around that. So I think it's really important that you take the characteristics of your best customer, your target avatar, and you actually give them a name. It's a label, and you put it on. I even had one of my coaching clients, David out of Philly. He showed me in his office, he had a printout poster of his perfect customer. And what was great is he went to the next step. He put the opposite, the PITA customer, the pain in the butt customer, next to it. So you could remind everybody when they're in the conference room talking about anything, we serve this person, not this person. So that, when we talk about values, is a huge representation of how that could show up as an artifact in your startup. So quick recap. Number 1, firmographics. 2, demographics. 3, technographics. 4, psychographics. 5, define the roles. And 6, give them a name. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I want to share with you my Rocket Demo Builder. Essentially, it's these 5 core principles that I use when I'm coaching my clients to close demos, product demos faster. So it's a demo, not a tour. That's number 1. And also talk about how to use the virtual close to get customers to pre-sell in their mind using your product within their organization. You can click the link below to get your copy. It's super powerful. One of my clients actually just told me they closed a Fortune 100 company to a 100K deal using the demo process their first time, so they were pretty pumped and excited. So click the link below and get your copy. And I also want to ask you, if you've loved this video as much as I love creating it, click the like button, share it with somebody you care about, and leave a comment below and let me know what part were you missing in identifying your customer avatar. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. Bum, ba, da, bum, bum, ba, da, ba, da, bum, 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 bum.